everyone, and welcome back to Anne's Family Recipe. Today I'm making two incredible Thanksgiving desserts. Today's video is a collaboration with my friend Jessica O'Donoghue. She is such a joy to watch. She is always so warm and bubbly, and she makes the most incredible comfort food recipes. I love everything that she cooks. She features her husband a lot in her videos. They travel together, they live the RV life, and their everyday life is at the beach. They live in a beach town, which is just incredible. So I live vicariously through her videos. It's just her day-to-day life, but to me, it's these awesome travel vlogs that I get to watch. So if you're not already, go subscribe to her channel. It's so much fun, and I'm so appreciative that she teamed up with me here today. So on her channel today, she is sharing some of her subscribers' favorite kind of non-traditional Thanksgiving recipes. And then over here, I am actually starting a new series called
What's on the back of the box?
This idea came from the back of a graham cracker box. So I love to shop at Aldi, and I was looking at the back of both plain and cinnamon graham crackers from there, and they had the most incredible sounding recipes on them. There was a molten s'mores cupcake thing that I will be making in the future, and then today I'm making a cinnamon swirl cheesecake bar with cinnamon graham cracker crust. Amazing. And then I was looking at my can of pumpkin puree and I saw chai pumpkin pie, which sounded right up my alley. So I'm gonna share both of those recipes here with you today. Comment below and let me know if you have any favorite recipes from the back of a box or a jar or a can. I want to explore these more because of course people who work for these food companies are recipe testing and coming up with delicious ways to use these products, and I want to try them out myself. If you're stopping by from Jessica's channel, hello and welcome. My name is Anne. I'm married with 5 kids, and on my channel I share all kinds of recipes that my family loves. I also love shopping at Aldi, so I'll take you along with me frequently there. And I do the occasional travel vlog too. So there's a little bit of something for everybody. Feel free to browse all the videos on my channel, and if you feel so inclined, please subscribe. Without further ado, let's get into our first dessert. For the cinnamon swirl cheesecake bars, I'm turning to the back of my cinnamon graham crackers box. So I started with a sleeve of these cinnamon graham crackers in my food processor, and then I pulse those up into fine crumbs. Next, I pulsed in 3 tablespoons of white sugar along with 1½ teaspoons of cinnamon until it was combined. Then I drizzled in 6 tablespoons of melted unsalted butter until the mixture came together. I greased my 8x8 inch glass baking dish with baking spray, and then I evenly and firmly pressed the graham cracker mixture inside, forming a crust. This baked at 350 degrees for only 5 minutes, and then it has to cool for about 10. Next, I made the cheesecake filling. So this started with 2 bricks of cream cheese at room temperature, and I beat those together in a large mixing bowl until they were fluffy. And then I added in 1 egg and 1/3 cup of white sugar and mixed those in. And then lastly, I added 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And in my pantry, I actually had some vanilla bean paste, and the measurements are the same. I just used 2 teaspoons of that, but it has a really yummy concentrated vanilla flavor. I evenly spread this mixture over top of my cooled crust, and then I prepared the cinnamon swirl topping.
For the topping, I did deviate slightly from the recipe. You're supposed to make it on the stovetop in a little saucepan, but since I had already dirtied my glass measuring cup, I just made it in there. So you just take 4 tablespoons of melted unsalted butter and whisk in 1/4 cup of brown sugar and 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. I'm guessing if you do this on the stovetop, it might come together a little bit better because the brown sugar will dissolve into the butter, but this worked out just fine. I drizzled it over top of the cheesecake mixture and then took a knife and dragged it through the topping to create this cinnamon swirl design on top. These baked at 350 degrees for about 20 minutes or until they were just set, and then once they cool, you do need to refrigerate them for 2 hours before cutting them up into squares.
These cinnamon swirl cheesecake squares are unbelievable. They almost taste like a cinnamon bun. I think it's because of that butter in the topping and then of course the super buttery crust too. Amazing. This is a definite must try, if not for Thanksgiving, but just in the coming months when you're entertaining. It's easy to whip together. It's something a little bit different and it has the most amazing cinnamony flavor. This is the winner. So good. I am making chai pumpkin pie. So this isn't on the back of a box, but it's on the back of a can. It's my Libby's 100% pumpkin puree, and there's 2 recipes on the back. There's classic, it says famous pumpkin pie, and then an updated version. And the only difference is you could use sugar or sweetened condensed milk. And I love sweetened condensed milk, so I wanted to try that updated version today. Also, I thought the pie would be a little bit creamier in texture too. But then at the bottom of the can, there's some variations here. So there's a bourbon pumpkin pie, which would also be delicious, and then chai spice pumpkin pie. I love chai lattes. They have lots of different warm spices going on. So this one is kind of an easing your way into the chai realm. There's no black pepper in it. There's no star anise, which I don't really love anyway. That has kind of a licorice flavor, but there is cardamom. And I found cardamom at Walmart. I was so excited to find this. I've actually been wanting to add this to my pantry for a while, just for baking. I think cardamom's a really interesting flavor. It's similar to cinnamon, but it smells a little bit lighter, almost slightly herbally, and it almost smells like tea. But it also kind of smells like cinnamon too. It's still a warm spice, but just a little bit different. So that is what we're kind of incorporating along with the classic pumpkin pie spices into this pretty easy pie. The first thing I have to do is make my spice mixture so that they're all blended together and they'll incorporate easily into the wet ingredients. So it's starting with a 1/2 teaspoon of ground cloves. Now, unfortunately, I just opened my pantry and there's barely any left in here, so it's more like a 1/4 teaspoon, but that'll still give a good flavor, so I'll add that in. I also need a 1/4 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, and this can be quite strong, so I think that is plenty here. Next up, I'm adding in a teaspoon of my cardamom, a 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon. There's that. A teaspoon of ginger. And that'll give it a little bit of a spice too. And lastly, I'm adding in some salt. So this recipe calls for a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And then I'll just whisk this together. And I love any opportunity to use my baby whisk. Next, I'm mixing together the wet ingredients. So that's my 1 can of 100% pure pumpkin. And then for this one, we're using the sweetened condensed milk, which is super thick and luxurious and sweet. I love this stuff. I'll definitely be licking the spoon on that one. And then evaporated milk. And it says, the recipe calls for a cup. This is 12 ounces, so that's a little bit more. I'll just measure it out into a glass measuring cup. And then we'll just mix it together with some eggs and the spices, and that's the pie. It's super simple. Look at how amazing this looks. Oh, yum. And this, the lid, that's what they call a cook's treat. This recipe calls for 2 eggs, so I'm just gonna crack them into my glass measuring cup first, just in case there's any shells. And then I can also, where's my other egg here? Then I can also whisk these together a little bit first before I add them in. Okay, so I'll bring the rest of the pumpkin pie filling back over here. Add in the eggs, and then I'll mix that all together. So lastly, I'll sprinkle in my spice mixture and then incorporate that. This smells so good, and it does look ultra creamy. I'm really excited to see how the texture is of this updated version of the pie with the sweetened condensed milk. Yum. I have a 9-inch deep dish pie crust here. This was frozen and I just allowed it to thaw. And I always put my pie crust on a baking tray just so there aren't any spills, and it's just easier to transfer in and out of your oven too. So I'm just gonna pour in my pumpkin pie mixture here. And my oven is preheated to 425. Whew, that's full. Okay, so this bakes, let me check the can again. This bakes at 425 for 15 minutes, then you reduce the temperature to 350 and bake for 30 to 40 minutes, or until a knife comes out clean. Well, my pie is still baking, but I wanted to give a quick update that my kitchen smells incredible. I cannot wait to eat this. How about you, Claire? You like pie? Hi! All right, so far it's baked for 35 minutes. I'm just gonna pull it out a little bit just to see. Okay, definitely a little bit jiggly in the center, so I'd like it to set a bit more. So we'll do at least another 5 minutes and then go from there.
While my chai pumpkin pie cooled, I made some cardamom whipped cream to put on top. So I started with 1 cup of cold, heavy whipping cream. I added in a half a teaspoon of cardamom, 3 tablespoons of powdered sugar, and about a 1/4 teaspoon of this vanilla bean paste. And I wanted to show you close up. My aunt bought me this at TJ Maxx. That's a great place to find vanilla bean paste at an excellent price. So I whipped this all together into stiff peaks, and I had my cardamom whipped cream. Now this is very customizable. You can make it sweeter or less sweet, add more cardamom if you want more of that spice to come through, but it tasted so good. It was light and fluffy and had this kind of subtle but unique cardamom flavor in the background. I loved it.
Moment of truth with my slice of pie here. It smells delicious. My kids are enjoying it. Feels very silky and luscious. It's good, Claire. It has great flavor, but still subtle. I love all the spices in both the pie and the whipped cream. It really does have a nice silky texture to it. So good. So nothing too out of the ordinary compared to a regular pumpkin pie, but a little bit of a change up. I think people will really love it. I have several more tasty pie recipes here on my channel that I'm gonna link for you down below. Again, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. You can also follow me over on Instagram at Anne's Family Recipe, and give this video a thumbs up if you like the 2 tasty Thanksgiving desserts that I shared here today. Thank you so much for joining me here in my kitchen, and I'll see you again soon.